ورحمة الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف وجعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره. I am grateful to Allah for giving me this blessing to be here and share with you our love and appreciation for the Lady Zainab Salamullah alayha and contribute with few words. My topic is Lady Zainab and crisis management. And this is very broad topic. I will try to share just a few points. In our life, we are always faced with challenges and difficulties. This is the nature of this life, which is by itself useful for our self-assessment and for improvement individually and as community. But we are not always faced with crisis. There's a difference between trial, challenge, difficulty on the one hand, and crisis. Crisis is when things go so wrong that there is an existential threat. For example, if there is crisis in a school, it doesn't mean that we have difficulty as we always have with, for example, finance, finding good teachers, staff, students, maybe problem with the local authorities, etc. These are always there, more or less. These are not crises. But crisis is, for example, when we don't get any parents, any families to bring their children to that school anymore. So you have every facility, but you don't have students. Or there is no one qualified and willing to teach. Or they want to cancel our license. Or they want to hijack our school and turn it into something else. This is crisis because you are not able to continue anymore. Or for example, suppose there is a city that relies on water coming from a river. Maybe this river in some years has less water. This is a problem, this is a challenge. But if the river is blocked by other people and we receive no water at all, if they divert the river, this is crisis. In the life of Lady Zainab Salamullah alayha, there were many, many challenges. I don't think they had any even maybe week without challenge. When she was born in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you know how much challenges Muslims had even in Medinan period. Wars, battles, hypocrites, all the problems were there. After the demise of the Prophet, challenges became more. There was a crisis. Because when Rasulullah was there with his great personality, you could say there were difficulties, but there was no crisis. He was so powerful and so respected and accepted and obeyed that no one could be a crisis for them. But the demise of the Prophet and the event of Saqifa, etc., created a crisis. Then demise of Lady Fatima Salamullah alayha. So she went through lots of experiences of crisis, but she was not the leader. She was not the one who was responsible to define the policies, the tactics, and what should we do. She was seeing how Amirul Mu'mineen deals with this, how Imam Hassan deals with this, how Imam Hussein alayhi salam deals with this. And she was very capable of understanding, supporting wholeheartedly, and being a good supporter for the leader. So not only she didn't have any sign of not understanding, not being satisfied, rather she was fully understanding and supporting. When Imam Hussein alayhi salam was faced with Yazid's insistence on him paying bay'ah, that formed another crisis. So it's crisis over crisis. To the extent that Imam Hussein alayhi salam said, وَعَلَى الْإِسْلَامِ السَّلَامِ إِذْ قَدْ بُلِيَتِ الْأُمَّةُ بِرَاعٍ مِثْلُ يَزِيدٍ. This means that we have reached a point that is crisis. This is not difficulty. Even when Muawiyah was there, still what Imam Hussein didn't say, وَعَلَى الْإِسْلَامِ السَّلَامِ. But now, this is very, very unbearable situation. But Imam Hussein was there, he was taking decisions, and Lady Zainab Salamullah alayha was there to support. And this continued till the afternoon of Ashura. And in the whole journey, she was responsible for managing the affairs of women and children. So maybe more than half of the camp of Imam was managed by him under leadership of Imam alayhi salam. But now the turning point is when Imam Hussein alayhi salam is martyred. And Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam is very ill, and he is also physically not well, and also it was not good if he shows any serious activities because the enemies could kill him. So now she has to play the role of the leader for the whole camp. About 85 people were there after the martyrdom of Imam Hussein and company, who had to manage these people who are in very difficult situation, people who are witnessing brutal killings of their sons, their husbands, their brothers, their children. They see the brutal behavior of the enemies after the martyrdom of Imam Hussein and companions, burning the tents, running after the children, children going everywhere in desert. Who is responsible to make sure that everyone remains safe, everyone's dignity and honor is preserved, the camp remains, and then get ready for the rest of the mission? So she had to look after everyone's safety, health, be emotional support for everyone, but at the same time make sure that Imam Zainul Abidin is safe. You know, there were occasions they wanted to kill Imam. She offered her life to support Imam. And then in this period, which in some hadiths, especially if there is a comparison with Lady Hakima in the time of, after Imam Jawad, you see that in our hadith there's a reference that Lady Zainab in this period acted like Naibul Imam. She was not Imam, but she had to undertake leadership and guiding community, although she was not Imam. So she managed to make sure that this camp is not destroyed. Physically, emotionally, spiritually, remain safe. Imam remains safe. But then, on top of that, and this is the most difficult part in crisis management, when you make sure that things are again under control, and when you manage to reduce the harm, don't let extra unneeded harm come, then you try to turn it into an opportunity. So she managed to turn this into a crisis for the opposite camp. Yazid didn't have any crisis before that. He was not just happy to see that there is someone who doesn't give bay'ah, because Imam Hussein was not fighting Yazid. Imam Hussein was not, doing anything to take Yazid out of power. It was his arrogance that he didn't want to have anyone against the idea of bay'ah. Even his father had told him, don't force 3 people to give bay'ah, including Imam Hussein alayhi salam. But he wanted to get even bay'ah from Imam Hussein. He didn't have any crisis. But after what happened in Ashura, with the leadership of Lady Zainab and then Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam, the crisis of the camp of Ahlul Bayt was managed and became an opportunity, to the extent that even after centuries, we always use the strengths of that moment in our history. There is so much light, so much energy there, that we always support ourselves and charge ourselves with that. So it became a golden opportunity for the camp of Ahlul Bayt, for the camp of the truth. And then the enemy lost his legitimacy in the eyes of people. They didn't have legitimacy. But what is important, people were not aware. And many people were not bad people. They didn't just know. They were victims of propaganda of Muawiyah and the Umayyad system. But with this awareness campaign, with all the things that Lady Zainab Salamullah alayha did, and then with leadership of Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam, and then with the continued emphasis of other Imams, what could lead to the destruction of the whole camp of Haqq, what could make them all just become despaired and go to their homes and just cry, became a source of power and pride and energy and guidance and inspiration for all people. And even when Imam Mahdi Ajalallah Ta'ala Farajah comes, he very much relies on the movement of Karbala. He very much refers to Imam Hussein alayhi salam and his mission and his sacrifice. So this is what we have to learn from Lady Zainab Salamullah alayha. When we are faced with problems or even with crisis, don't think this is end of the world. Don't let problems make you despaired. Believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and believe in the unlimited power that Allah has put in every human being, men and women, and face the problem with hope, with wisdom, with patience, with prayer, with Salatul Layl. And then you see that Allah helps you to make that into an opportunity. We today are all witnessing big crisis in the world. And our hope is that, inshallah, with the faith, with resilience, with wisdom that we see, inshallah, this also can become a great opportunity for all justice and truth-seeking people of the world, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.